But it's all good. We're glad to have my friend Ed Jarnigan here down from Tennessee. Came down just to be with us for the weekend. He's good peoples. I still remember how we met. Is it when I was having my 15 minutes of fame? Is that?
Well, when my partner died, I was looking up just stuff on the internet, and I found
Oh, okay. There I am. Be careful when you Google me. You never know what you. I was here. What's his name? Dane Cook was talking about Googling himself, and he said he typed in his name, and these two hands came out of Google and said, "Are you sure you want to do that?" Hey, Ro. All right. It is a beautiful day. I've got a good word for you, and I always feel automatically energized just being with you just for a few minutes. It's like, this is why when people say, why don't you just go full podcast or just do everything as video? Like, no, I have to have actual interaction with people in the same geographical location. Nothing against technology. That's great. And the podcasting is a part of it. For me personally, I can't, I mean, I could do it, but I don't want to do it. I like to look at your beautiful faces. So thank you. So what did you say this morning, Avery? I said, why are you smiling about? She said, I'm just happy to be here. I said, well, good. That works out good. Yes. I'm glad you're here and you're happy. We're in agreement for a beautiful day, so go ahead and play this for the YouTube audience, if you would, please, Maestro.
Hello, and welcome to Metron. Metron means measure and sphere of influence, and we want to help you find your Metron. Through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and networking. We're excited to have you here today and hope you enjoy the service.
Good morning, beautiful Metron people. Give yourselves a big hand for being here on this gorgeous spring-like day in Atlanta. What was the meme somebody posted? It said, pray for us here in Atlanta. There's nothing wrong. We just don't know what to wear. Because, there was a couple of days last week that were like, I was driving with the top back and, had on shorts. And then the next day, oh, there's my coat again. So I don't see that as a negative, though. That to me is Mother Nature giving you a little sneak preview to say spring still exists. I'm going to give you a little foretaste of what's coming. And then I'm going to freeze you again. But just to, keep you from losing all hope. So far, this has been an excellent month, and I'm always glad when I can have any of my kids here with me. Always especially glad to have Jonah, who is a friend and a colleague as well. Always glad to have Sophie, and we love them. We love them together. And I know Jonah has something good for you today, so without any further ado, would you please welcome our Artist of the Month, Jonah Swilley.
Thanks, guys. Y'all can sit down if you want to. Fix this. Today's a good day, right?
Yes.
All right.
Happiness, happiness is what I long for, yeah. Happiness is what I need, yeah. Happiness, happiness is what you are for me. Joyfulness, joyfulness is what you are. Joyfulness is what I need. Joyfulness, joyfulness is what you are for me. So take my heart and form it. Take my mind, transform it. Take my will, conform it to yours, Lord. To yours, oh Lord. Faithfulness, faithfulness is what I long for. Faithfulness is what I need. Faithfulness, faithfulness is what you are for me. So take my heart and form it. Take my mind, transform it. Take my will, conform it to yours, oh Lord. To yours, oh Lord. To yours, Lord. To yours, oh Lord. Holiness, holiness is what I long for. Holiness is what I need. Holiness, holiness is what you are for me. One last time, here we go. So take my heart and form it. Take my mind, transform it. Take my will, conform it to yours, oh Lord. To yours, oh Lord. To yours, oh Lord. To yours, Thank you. Charles, can I have a little more vocal, please? I played this one last week, and yeah, I know Valentine's Day was in between the weeks, but I'm gonna sing a couple songs about love. So this song's about love. Loving you's a crime, then give me time. 'cause I'll always be guilty. Sometimes I feel that I'm on trial for loving you too much, child. You're the judge and the jury of my peers. If it's time to talk, then babe, then listen here. If you don't want me to steal your heart, then lock me up and keep us both apart. And if they let me go, I'll know then I'll do the same thing over again. And if loving you is a crime, then give me time, 'cause I'll always be guilty. I stand before you a condemned man because I had a deliberate plan to steal your heart. Oh, and I got caught. What else can I say? I'm guilty, so guilty, for loving you too much, child. And if they let me go, I'll know then that I'll do the same thing over again. If loving you's a crime, then give me time, 'cause I'll always be guilty.
Yeah, this next one is actually, I don't know which Beatle wrote it, but it's a Beatles song about love. I think you might know it.
Love, 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 love. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. There's nothing you can sing that can't be sung. There's nothing you can say that you can learn to play the game. It's easy. There's nothing you can make that can't be made. There's no one you can save that can't be saved. There's nothing you can do, but you can learn to be in time. It's easy. You can help me if you want to. All you need is love. is all you need. Music break. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. There's nothing you can know that can't be known. There's nothing you can see that isn't shown. There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Come on, one more time. All you need is love. All you need is love.
Everybody.
All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. 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 Love is all you need.
Jonas Swilley! Yay! I love it. Good stuff. So you're the photographer and the pit crew today? That was good stuff. Thanks, bud. On the first one, man, you were like like you were Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton rolled in. It was like, what the? That was good. You may be seated. Second one's a good. That's a good hit, and it's a good slow dance song. I was about to ask somebody to dance. And any day there's a good Beatles song. Actually, John Lennon wrote it. It's credited to Lennon McCartney, but it's one of those vague areas where, you know, but it's actually Lennon. Thanks for being here today, beautiful peoples. What, is Fro in trouble or something? Let the man sit with his family. Y'all are messing up my feng shui. Anybody else wants to? Now's a good time to shift your seat. Those of you who are watching online, talk amongst yourselves while we play fruit basket turnover. See, look at God. Won't He do it? Who have you got with you, Patricia? What's your name? Hey, bud. We're glad that you're here. Hey, Doc. Good to see you. Doc had a little surgical procedure, and she's, I think, mission accomplished. So, can you see? How many fingers do I have up? You see? All right, let me see. First of all, our outreach this month is the Innocence Project, and that's a great organization. I've already said a good bit about it, but what they do is they help reverse cases of people who have been wrongly accused of crimes, and they do it through DNA evidence. There's a lot of old things that happened years ago that people have been incarcerated for that at the time DNA evidence didn't exist, and now it does. So it's a really, I mean, you know, you can't get back those years that somebody lost out of their life, but at least they're, you know, at least something's being done about it. So I like that. As I said before, that this is not a black charity, but it certainly affects a large number, particularly of African American men. So we're doing this in remembrance of Black History Month, which is a valid thing. I mean, there's some people that, even people of color sometimes have, like I was reading Morgan Freeman was saying he doesn't like the idea of Black History Month because and I understand what he's saying, but until maybe at some point in the future it won't be necessary, but it's still necessary at this point. Even as much as I've studied about it, and I don't post a lot about it, because sometimes when white people post Black History Month stuff, it just looks, I don't know. Do it if you want to. Avery does it on the shout out, which I appreciate. I haven't done a lot of it, but there's a lot of things I've learned this month from other things that people have posted. I thought I knew I thought I knew it all, and there's a lot of stuff. I mean, just technological discoveries, inventors. Somebody posted a picture, and this isn't like an old. This is like a recent picture. 4 or 5 African American women. It looked like fairly recent. Beautiful women. They're all in evening clothes, and it says, "What do all these women have in common?" And I thought it was going to say Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and they're all astronauts. I thought, wow, that's cool. So anyway, that's what we're doing for this. I don't know. Were there any Year of Living Your Best Life pictures this week? Where there were 2? Oh yeah, I did one. I forgot. Oh yeah, Avery did one. Okay, there's Ernie cooked that. Avery ate it. If you ever get a chance for Ernie to cook for you, he's really a chef. He's does some good stuff, and those were my veggies. People say, "Are you total vegetarian?" No, I just take pictures of when I am vegetarian. I'm mostly vegetarian. I don't eat mammals, and I find myself eating fewer birds and fish as well. Whatever you want to do, that's your journey. Namaste. Just say the less you eat meat, the more aware you are when you eat it that I'm really eating an animal. Like you don't think about it when you eat it all the time. But I'm not saying I'm never going to eat a steak again, but I can't, right as of right now, I can't imagine forcing one down. If you want one, fine. God bless you. Go in peace. What? Yeah. I went vegetarian for nearly a full year, and I got to where I'd go in a restaurant and I could smell death. Like I had never smelled it before, but I was like, some things. Oh, that's what's on the menu. How's that for bringing the room down? Thanks, Bishop. We were gonna have, huh? No, these were high-end restaurants. Anyway. 3 things coming up. One of them is in a few weeks we'll be at Stone Mountain for our meditation weekend number 5. It's going to be the weekend of the 23rd and 24th. And some of you already got reservations actually staying there in the park. There are some nice places there. As I've already said before, I gave it a lot of thought before I did anything at Stone Mountain because I know there's a lot of different energies going on, especially about the Confederate Memorial. The reason I'm using pictures from the other, because it's beautiful from that angle. And Stephen said something last week talking about it. He said, well, maybe even just a diverse group being there changes the energy. Like, that's, and I said, well, that's precisely the point. Because it's just too beautiful a place to never go there again, just because people 100 years ago, 150 years ago wanted to do a carving that they don't know what to do with now. It's ginormous. So they got to figure that out. But as far as us, we're going to go there. And I still haven't decided. Avery's done some investigation about the possibility of going on top of the mountain. I don't know yet. I need to go over there and do my thing. I have to get my divining rod and walk around. Where's the place? I'll know it when I see it. And then in April, we're going to be going to, on April the 28th, we will not be here. We'll be in Gwinnett County at Inspire with Pastor/Congressman or Representative Greg Kennard, and it's their 20th anniversary. And then in May, we're returning to St. Simon's for Meditation Weekend number 6. That's going to be May 18th and 19th. As I always tell you, go ahead and reserve a place, even if you're not totally sure that you're going to go. That way you've got most of these sites, at least 48 hours they give you. So you can still cancel it, but that way you've got a reservation and you don't have to, especially for St. Simon's. So, I never try to duplicate something that happened before. 'Cause I think every event is unique. And when somebody says we should do this again, you can never do this again because this is a one-time thing. But our last trip to St. Simon's was really, dare I say, magical. And I'm not trying to reproduce that, but I'm expecting it to go even higher level. And it's just such a beautiful place down there. So I think that is everything that I needed to say. What? Oh, I thought you were saying. And I believe that is all. Are you all ready for the word? Oh, let me say thank you for all of you, the sweet things that you wrote for my 47th ministry anniversary. I appreciate it. We've done enough celebrating. Let's wait till I get another round number before we do a celebration again. But thank you for it. It is nice to be acknowledged. So 47 years, wow, that's a long time. If you wonder if I've repeated myself some, you try preaching several times a week for nearly half a century. You'll repeat yourself a few times. You'll get some stories that get put into the repertoire. 26 is a good one. Once in a while I throw a new one in. You never know. But some of those, you just can't improve on some of those that have already occurred. So we'll see where we go with this today. We ready? Welcome to the Metron Live podcast, coming to you from Landmark Midtown Theater in beautiful historic Midtown Atlanta. Metron at Landmark Midtown Art Cinema. I think it's very cool that we are a spiritual community that meets in an art cinema. I think that's spiritual and hip at the same time. Metron people, would you give the podcast people a hand? Tell them that we welcome them. Those of you who are here, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, you should do it. And what happens is it goes right to your app on your phone, and when the next one is on deck, it'll tell you when the next one's available. And the podcast has a kind of a different energy on it, even from the YouTube. So, again, we thank Charles for all of his excellent work, the rock god of podcasting. And, give Charles a hand. Who gets here first on a Sunday morning? BJ or Charles? Which one of you's here? BJ, you're the one that starts the whole thing? You're the one that walks in and says, "Let there be light"? And he said, "I'm every woman." BJ, just when I think you've said it all. Shaka Khan. So how does it work? BJ comes in, and then Charles is then Michelle's next. So Charles makes an entrance. You're the third one that makes it here. Okay. Well, it's a big deal to come in here week after week when none of this exists, and to set up and create this week after week. I never take it for granted. Thank you so much. And I know there's others of you that were, I think, what is Wellington in Canada again? Wellington travels the globe like people go to Lithonia. He said, he told me last week, he said, "I'm going to buy you a suit. I'm going to wherever he's going." I said, How do you, what? Like some people go to downtown, he goes to the UK. Yeah, like these two. Jared's in Puerto Rico. Do you know that? Are they doing a tour down there or what? I didn't even know. He took Mom and Dad lunch, and Mom said, "You know Jared's in Puerto Rico?" I said, "Nope." Vaya con Dios. What we're talking about this month, the title is The Liberated Heart, Freeing Yourself from the Past and Breaking the Addiction to Fear. And I've been using this wonderful passage in 1 John chapter 4, verse 18. I've used it in every week with different translations. I want to look at it today in the International Standard Version. He says, "There is no fear where love exists. Rather, perfect love banishes fear, for fear involves punishment, and the person who lives in fear has not been perfected in love." I've heard many teachers say this, that the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear. And there's a good case can be made for that. Let me say this about hearing truth. I'm not saying that truth isn't absolute, but somebody that actually lives in South America who streams us, and he had posted, he said, he gives me a lot of feedback on the teaching, and he said, I heard you teach the other day that fear is an illusion, but then I'm also listening to this other teacher who's talking about embracing fear and making it work for you. And he said, I'm trying to listen to both and find where the truth is between those two things. And I don't think you have to listen to the spirit of something, not just the letter of it. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm drinking water, podcast people. Can you hear that? I am bequeathing the bottle water, the water bottle to you, Keith. So you can hear things that, well, the way I like to explain it is Revelation's like a diamond and it has a lot of facets to it. And one facet doesn't eliminate another facet. It just means that you hold it up to the light and you turn it a little bit and you see something maybe that you didn't see before. So, like for instance, where I'm at with people giving prophetic utterances as in foretelling the future, I don't discard that, but I also live in a reality where I believe we're creating our own life. So which is it? Are they mutually exclusive? No. There's a time for forthtelling, but there's also a time to say, I'm prophesying my own life every day. I don't need somebody to speak it over me. I'm saying what's going to happen. I'm creating my life as I go. You all know this, but I just would like this on the record for today. And then I want to show it to you from the Voice. I may have used this one before, but it's good for a repeat. It says, love will never invoke fear. Perfect love expels fear, particularly the fear of punishment. The one who fears punishment has not been completed through love. And you know, in the context of John saying this, he was talking about, in chapter 4 there, he's talking about the love of God, and he says, if you understand the love of God, you could never be afraid of God. That's why, you know, some years back when we started challenging some traditional ideas about eternal punishment and that sort of thing, that's why it resonated with so many people, because that's a very logical question to ask. How, if God loves everybody, how's he sending the majority of humanity to burn in hell for eternity? I don't want to have that argument with anybody anymore. If you want to believe in hell, namaste, hell it up. I just, what the hell about hell, to quote Ed Jardigan. I don't know. Something's happened to me in 2019. I don't want to argue with anybody about anything. Even, and he may be watching today, and if he is, it's great. Jacob Israel, who has spoken here before, he and I are kind of in different zones on some things, but I think the guy's brilliant, and he's, you know, I love him a lot, and I don't look at a lot of his stuff. He's got a big following, on, you know, a lot of subscribers on YouTube, as he should. He's really good at what he does. But he had posted something last week in regards to this Chris Pratt controversy over, because he goes to a Hillsong church, and Hillsong says that they are gay affirming, but they're not really, you know, and they still use words like lifestyle, and there's no such thing as the gay lifestyle. That's an urban legend. But he had answered that, and I appreciated it. And he said, I'd really like you to watch the video, and I did. And it was pretty much every scripture that he uses, all things I've said in my book, my last book that I wrote. And it's fine, and I wrote on it. I said, thank you, good job. But I was scrolling down the comments, and it was just the same old. There was even a God didn't make Adam and Steve, he made Adam and Eve. And I'm like, I've already written about that in my book, and as much as I appreciate, in behalf of the same-sex loving community, I appreciate straight allies, but it's all been said, you know, and like I appreciate Jacob taking that on. I remember a couple of years ago, Greg Kennard wrote something really very profound defending gay people, and I was reading the same. I can usually predict, like, here's the next thing somebody's going to say, and boom, 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 because I've heard it so many times. It's such a recycled argument. And I don't know if I said it to him or thought it, but I remember definitely thinking, thank you for doing this, but I had to have this conversation with Judah when he was on Preachers of Atlanta, because so much of the interaction with him, the other people on there, was about me, and I could see where he was getting bogged down in those same arguments. And I told him, I said, look, I appreciate that you got my back on this, but you're just going to say this stuff over and over again. It's kind of like, I'm assuming, I can't read people's minds, but I'm assuming people of color have to come to this conclusion that there's racist people in the world, and you're not going to change that. And as long as it's not affecting me personally, I mean, if something's affecting my personal rights, yes, I'll push back. But otherwise, it just is what it is. Because this is what I learned, especially when my public life took a big change a few years ago. What I found, even after I wrote my book, I could prove my point from the scriptures. I could show you what the Greek says. I could prove to you, I could just shut down your argument that Paul was not talking about what you think he was talking about, and blah, blah, blah. And people would say, well, you're probably right, but I still think I still don't think two men should be together. So, like, it's just a waste of time. People are going to see what they're going to see. I'm not saying you can't change people's perceptions. Yes, you can broaden people's horizons and whatever you want to do. If that's your journey, more power to you. I'm just past that journey. I've already said my piece on all of that, and there's some other things I could say, but I don't want to get. I want to stay on task here. But my point is, the idea that there's no fear in love is really not preached in Western Christianity. The kind of Christianity I grew up with was all about fear. We were afraid of God. We were afraid of the devil. We were afraid of missing the rapture. We were afraid of going through the tribulation period. We were afraid of, you name it, we were afraid of it. And especially in the late 60s, we were afraid of the communists. There was a big move of prophecy preachers. I remember being not much older than Patricia's grandson and sitting there, and I won't even say what he said because we have a child here, but what the minister that we had at my dad's church said, and the communists are going to come in, and the first thing they're going to do is take this little boy's daddy out, and he said what they would do to him, and I remember just being traumatized by it. And every night when I'd go to, I had a lot of issues to deal with when I was 8 or 9 or 10, and But every night, before I'd say my prayers, I'd look down Windermere Drive, Bremen, Georgia, and say, with God, please don't let the tanks, because I thought that they would be coming down our subdivision drive. That's what I heard. And at a certain point, you've heard enough fear to where you're like, I can't live in fear anymore. I just can't. I'm not going to be in denial, but I can't be in fear. You just can't. You can't live in a threat. You can't be in a relationship where you're always threatened. You can't. That's not abundant life. It's just not. You can't be with somebody because you're afraid of being alone. You can't. Those are all the wrong. Anything that's motivated by fear it's never going to sustain you. Eventually, the fear is going to. The power of it's going to die. That's the thing about fear. It's very loud at first, but it doesn't have a long shelf life. After a while, there's only so much. Have you ever, those of you that live alone, have you ever had one of those moments where you heard something at night, there's something in the house, and then at a certain point you're so tired, you're like, God, I hope it's not somebody, but I cannot lay awake and listen for every little creak, if you need to get something, please don't hurt me. I got to get some sleep. Because after a while, fatigue becomes stronger than fear. You're like, well, I just, whatever they're going to do, hope it's quick. But now, as Jonah saying earlier, love really is all you need. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's a lot to that statement. Obviously, you need patience and other things like that. But at the end of the day, it really is all about love. And if love is your motivation for life, that becomes your paradigm. You see everything through those eyes. I nearly shared it with you today, but I write a meditation every morning, every night. Some days, if I don't have time to sit down and write, I'll use a meme or something. But usually I write it. And I was particularly pleased with what I was able to write on Valentine's Day, because I think it was, I really believe it's the truth. What I said was, basically, I said, if you've experienced love at any time in your life, you should celebrate that. Whether you're married, divorced, widowed, if you're with somebody, if you're single, whatever, the fact that you've experienced love, it's a part of the human condition. And I talked about the song from The King and I, when, Anna, the teacher, is widowed. And she's very much in love with her husband. And she sings, it's a beautiful song. She sings that song, Hello, Young Lovers, Wherever You Are. But the line is, she says, don't cry for me, young lovers. I've had a love of my own. In other words, I don't envy you because I can celebrate you. I know what that's like. I had that. And that's a beautiful way to look at love. Like Dr. Seuss says, don't cry that it's over, smile that it happened. I can tell you this, I don't know that they all feel this way about me, but everybody I've ever been in relationship to, I'm grateful for. I appreciate every relationship I had, and for what I learned from it, what came out of it. If they don't feel that, if that's not reciprocated, that's something they've got to work through. But I can tell you, genuinely, I'm good with everybody. If you were ever a part of my life, and that doesn't just include romantically, that's everybody that's ever come in my life as a friend or whatever. I'm glad for what we had at that time. And I love, what is it? Tennyson said, "'Tis better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all." And I think that's just a great way to look at love. Because I saw a lot of single people on Valentine's Day were posting some pretty cynical things about how much they hate Valentine's Day. And I'm like, why would you hate it? Why not just celebrate it? I mean, celebrate whatever love you have in your life. And even if you don't have it now, you did have it. The other thing I quoted was at the end of Wizard of Oz when the Tin Man says, "Now I know I have a heart because it's breaking." And I said, even though love can hurt, that lets you know that you're alive. I mean, even if you've had pain in love, then you should even celebrate that, because that's just part of the whole thing. When you were here, I mean, I've been through breakups and divorces and all kind of stuff. to me, it's all worked together for good. I don't suffer over any of it anymore. I'm like, well, no, I know what that was like. I don't have any regrets. I'm like, well, I felt the pain of that. One thing about going through something like losing your job or going through a divorce or a bankruptcy or repossession, or once you go through it, it's kind of like it's like childhood diseases. Once you've had, well, I already had that. It's like I already know what that feels like now, so I'm not afraid of it. And so love becomes your motivation instead of fear. I really like this Steve Maraboli. No, first before I get to him is Lao Tzu. If you don't know, Lao Tzu is the Chinese philosopher who technically created Taoism. Taoism is when you see that black and white yin and yang thing. That was his philosophy. Great man, and Jesus would approve of me quoting Lao Tzu. Jesus is not mad at Taoism. But he just says simply, there is no illusion greater than fear. It's a simple statement, but it's absolutely true. Once the fear of something is removed, then the thing itself is removed. Job said, the thing I feared came on me. In Proverbs, it says, the thing a wicked man fears comes on him. And so really, technically, fear is faith in the negative. When people say, well, I don't know how to meditate. Yeah, you do. Have you ever worried? Worry is technically meditation. It's just negative meditation. But if you know what that's like to get a thought and mull it over and, process it and think about it from every angle and let it stay with you, that's how you meditate, basically. So yes, you do know how to meditate. You just need to move it in the opposite direction. Let me say something I've said before, and I know this is true for a lot of you in here. I only post things online that I can look at later and still like the energy on it. Like if I write it and if I don't really like the energy, I've learned now, don't even hit send because you're going to come back in an hour and delete it after you've vented, And so I'm post-venting now. I'm not telling you not to vent. I'm just saying there's all kind of things every day that I could say about my dad, the journey that he's on. There's things I've read what you posted the other day about your dad. I'm like, I'm right there with you. I read things that people write, and I think I can top your story. I just choose not to post about it, not because I'm in denial, not because it's not happening. It's just I have learned, for me personally, I'm not telling you what to do. That's your journey. I see what you're doing right now. Karen's in a situation where you could be online every day posting about what's going on with your son or whatever. What would be the point? Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's the point? Like after you've said, here's a situation, here's a diagnosis, please pray, unless you're giving a praise report that something good happened. Otherwise, I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm saying for me, I don't want to, I'm not in denial. I just don't want to energize certain things because I have learned this is what happens. You put that out there, and then all these other people get on with their negative agreement, and it just spirals downward. Even we were laughing about earlier because yesterday driving back for Ken's on call, and I stayed out there with him. So driving back in Greensboro, I stopped at the QT there in Covington, and I was just thinking, God, I really love QTs. And I wrote a review about them. I thought QTs are awesome, and everyone I've ever been to is awesome. Yeah, the bathrooms are always clean. You never have to wait for them. They let you use the bathroom even if you don't buy anything, which a lot of places on the road don't let you do that. They've got healthy snacks, and I said I also, and I love that the guys. The checkout guys are like multitaskers. They get you out of there so quick. And I love even when you use your card, you don't have to sign anything. You don't have to put in your code. It's like they've worked it down to a science to get people in and out. And it's a good. Somebody said I like their coffee better than Starbucks. I said, now draw the line there. Don't you blaspheme Starbucks? But But I also said, I don't drink sodas often, but if I do splurge and treat myself to one, I like they give you the option between cubed ice and crushed ice, because I'm an ice cruncher and I like crushed ice. Well, then somebody said, you need to check out your iron because you may have low iron. I said, no, I don't have low. Well, then it started this whole thing that was sidetracked with people talking about they were low iron and nearly died and they were craving dirt and everything. I was like, no, my iron's fine. I just have a habit of chewing ice. That's just something I like to do. And, you know, we laugh about this a lot because it's a long time ago. I was posting a picture of Ken and me, and he had red eye, and there's a thing where you can fix the red eye, but when you do, it makes the eyes like really, you can tell it's been fixed because they look like, the children of the corn, they're like this. And so I tried to fix the red eye, and one of the eyes on the still had like this really black eye. So somebody inboxed me and said, I don't want to alarm you, but you need to take Ken to a emergency room. I said, excuse me? He said, well, he's apparently having a stroke because one of his eyes is... And I said, okay, well, first of all, this picture was from a few days ago. And secondly, he's not having a stroke. I mean, I appreciate that you're looking up, but I thought, wow, that's what you got out of that picture? It's just amazing to me, and I've already vented about this, but like, we'll take a picture on the beach or someplace we rented a car, took the top down, and people are like, you need to have sunblock on. I'm like, oh my God, would you just like on the picture? We know what sunblock is. We're grandfathers. We're senior citizens. We're AARP senior citizens. I'm like, what? I've never heard of sunblock. Thank you. I'm like, such a asinine thing to say, If you post something, like I posted, this dog had scratched me. It's no big deal. It was just something to talk about. People were like, you better put something on there. What? Could you tell me more about antiseptic? I've never heard of such a thing. But it's just interesting to me that that's where, people nearly always take it to lowest common denominator. And I read some of the things that people post, and I think, is that the world you live in? I mean, are you just afraid of everything? Is everything negative? I'm not saying not to, if it's a valid point, make your case. But if after a while, when everything is negative, everything is dark, then it just becomes noise. I mean, then when you really do need to say something that's valid, it doesn't have the strength. I'm not singling anybody out I only mentioned you because I related to it when you said, because it is. I know what it's like. I shouldn't laugh at it, but the other day my dad said to my mom, he said, who are those two guys? Who are those two guys that bring us food every week? And it just is what it is. It's a rite of passage. Yes, it's painful. Sometimes I think he knows me, but we're those two guys. I don't know. I don't know what else to do but laugh about it. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring the room down. It's just some of you already been through it. So, well, okay. It is what it is. When I'm posting positive stuff, it's not that I'm in denial or that even my life is perfect, because it is not. These are the things that I would like to energize, and this is the reality that I would like to create. And if you can't embrace that, that's fine. I'm not telling you, you keep your stuff on your page. If you bring your negative chi to my page, I'm going to burn some sage. I love that meme. Somebody says, if you don't like to come to my house because I'm burning sage, it means it's working. That is funny. And again, it doesn't mean you're not. There's so many of you in here that I know you're going through things. I deeply feel you, but we don't have to talk about it all the time because I know, and I know that I know, and we're like, still believing for the best. I don't know what else to say other than I'm here if you need me. Otherwise, believing for the best. And you never know if was it your sister got diagnosed with cancer? Was that 2 years ago? 3. Finally, I stopped asking, "How's your sister?" Because she's like, I think the last time they couldn't even find the cancer. So you never know, and that could happen. It could, So anyway. There is no illusion greater than fear. Here's the thing. This may be the best thing I share with you today. I've quoted this. He's a motivational speaker. I've never met him, but I like it's very practical stuff that he shares. But he says, how would your life be different if you learned to let go of things that have already let go of you? Thank you. You're welcome. Drive safely. I'll see you next week. Because we're talking about, and there's more, we're talking about letting go of the past, but he goes on to say, from relationships long gone, to old grudges, to regrets, to all the could've and should've, to the dead friendships you still hang on to, free yourself from the burden of a past you cannot change. Now I'm gonna help us all grow up here a little bit. Love is wonderful. Friendships are wonderful. Relationships sometimes are seasonal. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. It is just a fact of life. There are some people in my life that have gone the distance. I mean, my best friend was my best friend in college. And but most of the people I went to college with, I have no relationship with now at all. And that's not a bad thing. It just means our lives have gone in very different directions. And it's the same way I feel about the romantic things I talked about on Valentine's Day. Like, just be happy that you had that. I like that he says, recognize when a friendship is over. And it's okay. It's a rite of passage. At a certain point, you have to just stop grieving over something that was and just be glad that you had it at that time. And because this is what I think happens. When you just can't let go of what's already let go of you, you're missing all this other new stuff that is available to you that could even be better stuff. But because you're so preoccupied with holding on to what has already let you go, I mean, it's not a sad thing. It's a liberating thing. I came to the conclusion, another thing, I don't know what happened to me the stroke of midnight this past New Year's Eve, but something came off of me. I don't know what it was, but like all week long I've heard, especially because it was my ministry anniversary, I've heard from people who have either inboxed me or texted me or written stuff online about how I changed their life. And, I never hear, you're a good preacher. I hear, you changed my life. That's the one phrase I hear more than anything. And I used to read, for the last several years, I would read those and think, well, why don't you come, how come you can't just drive to, and I'm past that now. I think, you know what, this is ridiculous to be upset about that. Some people are not ever going to not go to a church building. They're not ever going to drive to Atlanta. There's no point in being upset about it because it's not only not going to change it, it's sending some kind of weird energy out to them that's making them double down on why they can't. You're missing. Look at these beautiful people that are in your life now who got up on a rainy morning in February and drove over here. Why would I obsess over that? Now I can just read, if I can remember who they are. I read and go, well, yay, smiley face, glad. Here's my PayPal number. No, I don't say that. Sometimes I want to. People say, people should pay you for these meditations you write every day. I'm like, okay, PayPal, I got a Cash App, I got there's any number of ways. I'll come meet you in the McDonald's parking lot if you got a check. What you got? But Starbucks gift card, come on, Jesus. But it's just so much easier to live that way, nursing a grudge, and especially something that happened years ago. At a certain point, I think, I'm not diminishing hurtful stuff, because we've all been through hurtful stuff. God knows I have been. But it nearly seems like there should be a statute of limitations on things. Like after a while, you should say, I'm only going to grieve over this thing for X amount of time, and then it's got an expiration date. You know, there's certain things in your refrigerator, like I really need to clean my refrigerator out. I just need to. There's not that much stuff in there, but there's a lot of stuff. Like the other day, I was looking for something, and I have no sense of time. So I had a salad, and I was looking at some salad dressing, and it says, "Do not use after 2014." I'm like, well, I don't know. And I can't believe it's been that long. I would have, if you had asked me, "When'd you get that salad dressing?" I would have said, last year sometime. I'm sure it's still good. You might better look at the thing. You know, there's just a lot of stuff in there that I just haven't gotten around to it, but it needs to go. There's a lot of obsolete stuff in my refrigerator. That's no big deal. But there's a lot of people who are living their life with obsolete thoughts, obsolete relationships, obsolete ideologies, obsolete theologies. And again, it doesn't mean... Like, I was looking, somebody posted some video this week of some guy, I don't know if he was in Africa or the Caribbean, but he was supposedly praying for people who would fall under the power. And I was in that flow for many, many years. But I never pushed people down. And this guy was just grabbing people and just like pushing them down. Like, I can't believe it. Like, these people weren't even falling. They were just going like that. And I stopped for a minute and I thought, wow, I was in that reality for a long time. I don't feel bad about it. I don't feel embarrassed. I would feel embarrassed if I'd done that, what was on that video. But I don't feel, there were some things that happened that were very real and very powerful experiences. It doesn't mean it was bad. It just means I'm not there anymore. I'm in a different season. Like I always tell you, you don't have to hate summer to love the fall. That's why when people say, and I said this to you a lot, when people say, "What's your favorite season?" I don't have a favorite season. There's always a time in the summer where I'm over it. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready for it to get cooler now. But I know as fast as time is going, I know I'm going to blink and it'll be the next season. So there's things about all of those seasons I like, and the same thing is true for life. There's things about, like I remember both Judah and Jonah got their driver's license on their 16th birthday. Like I remember the day of, they're like, "I'm getting my license today," and they passed their. The reason I didn't say Jared and Christine is I wasn't with them when they were 16 when they got theirs. But and I remember with Jonah's good drivers and all these years, he's never had an accident or anything. It's all good. But I remember driving home with him from the thing, and he just took the car and backed out of the driveway and left. And I remember Debbie and I were standing there like, "Wait, what? I was supposed to have a talk with you about like this is," but then I thought, well, I'm not having to drive him anywhere anymore, and so I just decided to embrace it. Yeah, I decided not to worry about it. He hasn't given me reason to worry. But I remember thinking, oh, a season just changed. He is less dependent on me, and so be it. I'm never one of those parents that want to, I just hate when they grow up. I'm like, no, it's good. I like them grow up and they become wonderful adults that you can be friends with. But that's what's supposed to happen. If you say, "I just hate for them to grow up," you need to see a therapist, because a really good parent wants them to, self-actualize and move on. That's what you wanted to happen when you were on the other side of that. I thought that was just really good the way he said that. Let go of what's let go of you. Then I wanted to show you another Deepak Chopra quote. I think is this a meme that I have? Yeah. It says, "In the process of letting go, you will lose many things from the past, but you will find yourself." Amen, amen, and amen. Because when you're still clothed in 1975, 1982, 1996, 2005, we're not really seeing who you are. We're seeing who you were. I mean, there's some things that I used to do or say or whatever that aren't even applicable to me anymore. Like, I don't even think that way now. I mean, I look at books that I've written, and I read them now, I think, I don't even talk that way now. And it doesn't mean I don't sell them. It just means that, well, there's some people that don't know who I am now, and that's where they are, and that's fine. What did you say? You shipped off 5 Year in the Now to Amazon.com this week? I'm like, yay! Keep it coming, Jesus. Buy it, Year in the Now. And I hear from people. Somebody yesterday posted, yeah, I still remember you saying, I used to have everybody stand and say, this is my Bible. I am what it says I am. And that's what I think of it. And I think, wow, I've come a long way, baby. But that's where they are. That's fine. Yes, I did that. I did that for many years. I don't have no shame in my game. But that's not who I am now. There was a time I would preach things. I would never intentionally lie, but I would say things that I thought you were supposed to say because this is the company line. Like if somebody really pushed me on the hell issue, I'd be like, yeah, if you reject Jesus, you're going to hell. But I never believed that. I mean, it was kind of like, that's company policy. That's what it says on our aprons, but that's not really what I believe. And so now I've created a reality where I only say what I believe. I mean, not just since I've been here, but especially since we've been in this, I've never said one thing that I didn't wholeheartedly believe. Do you understand? Like, whereas before, it wasn't that, I mean, I was pretty transparent back then, but there were some things I had to ease into. You know, like there was a time I had to really preface it with, now, please don't be upset with what I'm about to say. And now I don't do that. Now I'm just like, no, here's what I want to say. And we're so on the same wavelength that I don't even have to explain to you now. I don't have to preface it with old ways of saying things. I think I said this last week, but let me say it again. If any man be in Christ, he's a new creature. Old things are passed away. And that's not just a one-time experience. That's the Christ reality means Lazarus is taking off those grave clothes all the time as he comes out of the tomb. This morning, on Dr. Dispenza's, I think it was this morning's, I saw it this morning, but it was a video he showed of a caterpillar becoming a lunar moth. I don't know how they got this footage. It's just amazing. A caterpillar becomes a completely other thing. And, you know, it showed it going through the metamorphosis, and it at a point even loses its face, and it just becomes this little, I don't know what you would call it. And then you start seeing these wings that come out, and the lunar moths are beautiful. They're the ones that have that long, sort of elegant tail on their wings, and usually I fast forward through stuff like that, but this morning I was drinking my coffee and I just sat there and watched because it took a minute to see the whole thing and how that there's so much symbolism in it. Even the cocoon, it comes out of them. It's not external. It's their own wrapping themselves in what's on the inside of them. They don't wait for something else to make them, you know? And it just ministered to me so much. I just sat there and watched that whole thing. And it's fast forward, it's fast motion, so it's like doing some of that, and you see it rip through layers of skin, and then this other thing comes out, and it's just amazing. And I was looking at it, I thought, that's the process we're in all the time. All the time. Let me show you this. I think this is another Maraboli quote. I don't like this one as much as the other one, but it's worth noting. He says, "Free yourself from the poisonous and laborious burden of holding a grudge." I like the word laborious because it is, man. When you hold a grudge, listen, when you hold a grudge, you want someone else's sorrow to reflect your level of hurt. but the two rarely meet. That's why you keep telling your grievance story, and all it does is it makes you more frustrated, because somebody can hear your story and go, oh my God, that's terrible, that happened to you, but they can't change it. And all you've done is reinforced a negative memory, and now you feel even deeper frustration because whatever happened, happened. I mean, I know there's a certain theory about there's some parts of quantum physics says you can look back at the past and change it, but in this dimension, the past is the past. Whatever has happened has happened. You've got to learn to make it work. I posted a meme this Saturday. I just like it. It says, it'll never be perfect. Make it work. Life. And that's just true. It says, let go. Sometimes forgiveness is simply a reflection of loving yourself enough to move on. Let me say for the bazillionth time, forgiveness is not giving the person a pass on what they did. That's not the issue. People get it twisted in their mind. Well, I forgive them. If I forgive them, it's like saying it was okay that they did it. No, it's letting you be okay with moving on with your life. And that was also what I included in my post from Valentine's Day. I said, look, here's the deal. Everybody's been hurt in love. Everybody's hurt somebody. Everybody's been rejected. Everybody's rejected somebody else. I went through the whole thing. I said, if this does not apply to you, you're either very rare or in denial. But for the most part, like I can look back at ways I handled situations in the church over the years. I think I could have handled that so much better. But that was the level of consciousness I was at the time. So many things I could have salvaged that relationship. I could have gone one step further. But you know, when you're ministering out of your own hurt, and you're in this cycle of self-fulfilling prophecy, and when you've been through a lot of stuff and you recognize hurt, and here it goes again. I've opted out of that system as well. I got to get all new systems. Does this happen to you that you start having a thought and you realize, I don't even think this way anymore, so I don't know what to do with this thought? It's like the other day, I was, not my refrigerator, but I was cleaning out. I was looking for something, and it ended up I was cleaning out. There were some boxes on top of my closet. I live in a very small area, so storage space is a big deal. And I was looking in this box, and you know how in this age of technology, there's like a charger for something, a plug for something, or something. You don't even know what the heck this goes to, and you don't want to throw it away because you think, well, maybe I'll need this. And I mean, I kept looking at these wires and chargers and plugs, oh my. And I'm like, what is this even to? I don't even remember having a thing that this would have fit. And I finally threw them away, but it felt weird. I was like, I hope I'm not doing something really irresponsible. I'm going to need these. But after a while, you collect all this stuff, this obsolete stuff, obsolete paraphernalia. You think, I am never going to use any of this. And something is telling me I should keep it. But for what? Why would I be keeping this? And the same thing is true for certain thoughts. You start to express a certain thought and you think, what does this thought even go to? I don't even know what this was. What was this for? This was a thing I used to think when I was dealing with low self-esteem. I don't think that way now, so this thought is obsolete. I've got to throw this stuff away. I mean, really, it would serve you well once in a while just to go through, think about the things you write and say or whatever. Think, do I even mean this anymore? I don't. It was funny. I don't think you'll mind me saying this, but Friday night I was out with Ken, and he wanted me to meet. It's not his boss, but it's a guy that he kind of works for, like he man. And anyway, he was telling me a little bit about this guy was telling me a little bit about his spiritual journey, and he's been through AA, so he was using the phrase higher power, whatever. And he was trying to explain to me what he thought about things. He was raised Catholic and had been baptized a Mormon, but he'd just been through a lot of stuff. And he said, I said, at a certain point, I said, just so you know, for the point of conversation, let me tell you kind of where I'm at. I said, I believe in God. I don't believe there's necessarily a white man with a beard on a throne floating around somewhere. I understand that ancient people from a patriarchal world understood. That's the way they tried to explain transcendence. So I will still use the pronoun he or whatever, but I really think God's a bigger idea than that. And he said, do you believe in Jesus Christ? I just started laughing. I said, yeah. He said, why are you laughing? I said, it's just what you clearly don't know anything about my past. Like, yeah, me and Jesus been together a long time. Been working for him my whole life. It was just funny. Like nobody had asked me that. Somebody showed me this thing. It's called the Clergy Project, and it's all these people that some of them had mega churches that consider themselves atheists now. Like they're a whole network of people who don't even believe in God. And I'm reading that and I think, I'm not that. Like y'all've got some unresolved issues. I don't like the term. The atheist has a really weird energy on it. I don't like that at all. Like, do I believe in God? Yeah. Do I believe in Jesus? Yes, I believe in Jesus. Somebody the other day said, you don't even have Jesus on your page anymore. I looked at their page, everything was about Donald Trump. I'm like, I got more Jesus. I got way more Jesus on my page than you got on yours. Cleansing breath. And then, what else do I have up here? Oh, I can't pronounce. How would you pronounce that name? Chbosky? Stephen Chbosky. This was the quote that I started my meditation with on Valentine's Day. It's just simply this: we accept the love we think we deserve. What? There is no fear in love. I could expand on that and say, you accept the abundance you think you deserve. Yeah. Can I get really real? You accept the health that you think you deserve. Yeah. Like, I'm all about, if you have health issues, I'll pray for you. But let's also go a little deeper and say, what's going on in your inside? Because if you don't feel worthy of being well, I'm kind of wasting my time. You know, the prayer is just going to be superficial. It may make you feel a little better emotionally, but it's not going to change anything. Prayer is fine. I believe in prayer. I've taught a lot about prayer. But there's some basic things, until you get them, you really get a hold of them. To where we used to call this repentance. Now I'm more inclined to call it changing your brain chemistry. Because there are certain things that I've said them enough now that I believe them. Like last night I posted a meditation. I got a lot of good response from it. Just about don't go to bed in negativity. Send out good energy while you sleep and that sort of thing. Change your thoughts. And I was looking back at, I've been writing those meditations for about 4 months now. And I was looking back, and there's definitely a theme to it. Like everything's about change your thoughts. I mean, there's a lot of repetition to it. But you know what it's done? It's established it in me. It's like I can change my thoughts now. I mean, I can shift gears. I can sit in my chair at night and think, I don't like the way I'm feeling right now. I'm going to feel differently. I'm going to raise my vibration. Now, a year ago, I could talk about doing that. Now I can do that. I can. Now I'm talking a lot about detaching from ego, and I can feel it happening. It's like, yeah, I'm getting to a place now you could say certain things about me, and I'm like, I hope that's not true. But there was a time I would want to defend myself now. I'm like, if that's true, then I obviously need to work on that. Thanks. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. I mean, you talk about being free instead of, I can't believe they said that. Now I'm like, why would they say that? Huh, maybe it's something I need to pay attention to. And I'm still a good person. Freedom. We have one more week to talk about this, but I believe little by little we are moving toward just accepting love, accepting what is, knowing how to change what needs to be changed. But there's also a place of just surrendering to what life is. And you have to kind of understand the dance of, here's the things I need to push back on and create something better, and here's the things that they just are what they are, and I'm going to figure out a way to have an attitude that's going to help me navigate through this, to where you're not just, I was thinking about this week, how different Paul's idea of these things was about Jesus. Jesus didn't talk about spiritual warfare. Jesus said, Satan's come to me, has nothing in me. John 12, he says, now the God of this world is cast down. The most you'd ever hear is, be quiet and come out of him, or get behind me, Satana. But there was not this ongoing thing, this idea of we wrestle not against flesh and blood. That Paul said that. That was Paul's, dare I say, paranoia, that we're fighting stuff all the time. That stuff may not be there. Oh, did I went deep right there, didn't we? Because when I look at the Gospels, I think Jesus wasn't in this constant contention with the devil, whatever the devil was. I'm going to tell you, if you're looking for, if your life is based on conspiracy theory, you will see conspiracies everywhere. And if you're looking for demons, you'll find them. It's amazing how when you stop fighting them, how they go away. Buddy, when you're fighting them, you don't realize how much you're energizing, you're stirring that up. Not even realizing that, oh, I'm doing this myself. Do you ever have a bully at school is bigger than you, take your hand, like they make, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? You're like, I'm not hitting myself, you're doing it. You're hitting it. And that's kind of the way we are with ourselves. Like, why am I hitting myself? Why am I, I don't know, you're doing it. Since we've had one Beatles song, let me leave you with one great Beatles quote. One thing I can tell you is you got to be free. Let's all stand. Thank you, Ray, for starting the wave. I thought it was going to be a solo clap there for a minute. I'm like, really? Y'all going to leave him hanging? He's over there clapping. But you did get something out of this today, right? Good. Please remain standing, and we'll do the outro, and then I'll speak a blessing over you.
Contributing to Metron is quick and easy. You can give anytime using any smartphone. Text the amount you would like to donate to 404-620-5044. You will then receive a notification that you successfully completed your donation. You may also visit bishopthenow.com and click the support tab to give there as well. When you contribute to Metron, you're also donating to the charity or organization of the month. Thank you for your investment into Metron.
If you have a check, make it to JESM, and Danny will receive that. If you have cash, pay it forward. Go bless somebody. You might want to bless Jonah. And he'll be back with us next week. Once again, tell him you appreciate him being here today. Judah will be with us next month as our Artist of the Month, so I'm very happy about all of this. I'm not just saying I really love you. I really appreciate you. I never take for granted that you come here week after week. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for believing in what I do. Thank you for having an ear to hear. You're really just wonderful, extraordinary people, and I'm blessed to have you in my life. And you mean the world to me, and thank you. I don't forget anything that you've ever done. It sounds like I'm going somewhere. I want to thank all the little people that made this possible. My director, my producer. But I don't know. I just want you to know it's you. As the years go on, you get dearer and dearer to me. And so I speak a blessed day, rest to your body, a good night's sleep, productive week, and that you are taking these things to heart and living in the now, that you let go of what has already let go of you, and that you're fine with it. You're okay. You're going to be okay no matter what happens. And I can't predict what's going to happen to you this week, but I will tell you this. You will come through the fire without even the smell of smoke on your clothes. Wake up tomorrow and say, this is the day the Lord has enabled me to make. I will rejoice and be glad in it. God bless you. Go in peace. Listen, Ken's not here, and Freddie and Roz are in Florida, so if some of you will help with the